Yeah, I got a couple of pings now from people that says that on their calendar it's at 16 UTC as well. But I will give them
Oh,
the new meeting link.
thanks. Not sure why. Mm, I would also drop that in the codex, except you're doing that already. Uh, mm, okay. I dropped the link. Hopefully, we don't have additional confusion. Um, However, we can start. I can still see some folks joining us. So hello everyone. Today is on my side of the world, Thursday, December 6th. It's just about 12:07 p.m. And this is Filecoin Core Devs call number 76. Today we have a few items to discuss. We have a technical presentation uh, related to supporting EIP 1153 in the FEVM by Micros. I believe they're on the call. We also have NV25 upgrade updates. And maybe Oren, we could do the F3 testing updates, then we can wrap up with the NV25 updates, even though it doesn't really matter, but maybe that might be a better flow. Uh, and I can hand it over now to Michaels if you're on the call.
Great. Hi, good morning, good evening, good hello everyone, wherever time you're in. Cool. Yeah, thanks for handing it over. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'll just kind of run through these slides and try to summarize how this FIP, I think now it's FIP 94, is going and what the concept behind it is. And so the FIP is to add support for EIP 1153. That's an Ethereum FIP, just for, there could be some confusion around the naming and the context. And to add support for that, Ethereum EIP, EIP, in the Filecoin EVM. And so the feature is around transient storage, which is a new data type in the EVM. And so currently we don't have support for transient storage in the FEVM. And this was introduced into Ethereum mainnet on March 2024 in the Cancun upgrade. So for context, and this feature provides so transactions scoped short-term, so to speak, ephemeral or transient data storage. And that's being used more and more for latest best practices when it comes to writing sort of Ethereum contracts, and usually done in Solidity. And so there's benefit to this feature, which is that it's generally used for a reentry guard. That's one of the primary uses for it. And so not only is this a helpful developer feature, also without this in FEVM, popular Ethereum projects like Uniswap version 4, the latest one, can't be supported without rewriting part of it, or maybe at all. So they require the re-entrancy guard that this feature provides. So the problem would be not having turnkey support for new and popular Ethereum projects like Uniswap v4. Awesome. Next slide would be great. Cool. So in the FIP that I'm proposing, I am proposing that we add support, and support comes in the form of 2 opcodes for our VM, and the opcodes are transient load and transient store. And those opcodes provide the functionality and the same functionality that Ethereum and EIP 1153 provides. And the important part is that this data is scoped for what's sort of and the term transaction and why it's complicated and also why it's needed is can be ambiguous, but essentially the scoping is for a user that signs a message. That's what's thought of as the high level transaction. And so it's an originating account, and its a nonce is the life cycle or the span or the scope of this data, and the data scope to a specific smart contract. And thanks. And yeah, the benefit is that we support projects like Uniswap v4 and get sort of all the features from it and maintain and build our Ethereum compatibility. And yeah, the one technical detail is that we are going to be using the data store in this implementation. And so that's why we're using lifecycle validation. And so there's this validation that the data is scoped to the originating account and nonce. And so there's that validation. And then other than that, it's totally the same. And yeah, next slide. Thanks. And so sort of next steps are, yep, perfect. To just ask for everyone's support on this FIP. And the PR for the FIP is 1084, and the implementation PR, and it's still a work in progress, but I hope optimistically the end of the week, and realistically, yeah, no, really, yeah, optimistically and realistically the end of the week to have that mergeable. And yeah, making great progress on it. And yeah, that's sort of the big picture on transient storage in the FEVM.
Thanks, Michael. I feel like I rushed through the slides. Let me go back just one moment. Oh yeah, I believe you talked about the benefits, right? Forgive me if I'm confused.
Yeah, totally. And sort of the benefits are the
Yeah.
problems go away, so to speak, but the benefits are that we support projects like Uniswap v4. We have this new feature that's used for reentrancy locks and transient state management. We maintain our compatibility with Ethereum, and that allows Ethereum developers to be attracted to and excited about building apps on Filecoin and having the composability that Ethereum functionality provides between smart contracts.
Great. Thanks. Are there questions or thoughts from anyone on the call today? Sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's been some great commentary on the FIP discussion. And so if there are any questions that do come up, feel free to later on jot them down there, and also review that conversation. There's some sort of technical follow-ups and technical explanations in more detail. So would just recommend checking that out. And that's the 1084 PR.
Great. I do have maybe a general thought or a question, not to you, Michael, but just looking at FEVM generally, particularly from the from the implementation side and just compatibility issues. I'm not sure if there are teams that are specifically tracking improvements on the Ethereum side, so that we can remain compatible. I don't know if we still have an FEVM team that just focuses on that. Because I'm thinking about how much further do we go in terms of making sure that both protocols are compatible, especially on the FEVM side of things. Is it like random? How do we decide what improvements we should bring on board on the Filecoin side, or are there conversations around those kinds of things?
Yeah, and I think that's I'm happy to jump on that. I know it's more of an open question, but I definitely agree with the importance of that and the importance of maintaining compatibility and having a team and also teams that are focused on that. And so with the Phil Builders team, run by Sarah, we've been expanding into that role and taking responsibility for that. And so there's overall 3 features that we've identified in the Cancun Ethereum upgrade, and that we could consider. This would bring us compatible with 2 of the 3, and we sort of appropriately have been prioritizing. So this gets us very, very close. The 3rd feature that was added in Cancun is related to the self-destruct feature in Ethereum. And we're keeping an eye on that and considering the importance of that. It's a little subtle and only so impactful. And the reason why I'm comfortable saying that is self-destruct itself is marked as deprecated, and the Cancun change takes this and moves it closer to removing its functionality, but doesn't quite. It in video game terms nerfs it further, but doesn't totally change it. So it's sort of unclear how useful that is, but that's going to be I think my next focus. And also we are actively keeping an eye on future Ethereum upgrades for things that need to be on our radar, and that's something we're finalizing, but so far not seeing anything in the next upgrade, and happy to make this an open discussion, and happy to be updated or followed up with. But it seems like the next round of Ethereum changes are more internal Ethereum things related to and the reason why they're not applicable is Filecoin has its consensus mechanism focused on power and those sorts of dynamics, and Ethereum's next round of changes seem more focused on how they do consensus. And so it just seems a little more internal dynamics that we don't need to maintain compatibility with necessarily on the FEVM side. So yeah, no, great question. And we've been working on that.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, final thoughts here. Just to flag that you as the author, you're hoping that this would go into the next upgrade. NV25 that we're going to talk about shortly is mostly for F3 activation. So we are hoping we can have another upgrade around April, depending on implementer commitments. So maybe depending on how this FIP goes through the governance cycle, it might just be ready in time for that upgrade, hopefully. So you do have some time to finalize your implementation and get additional feedback.
Thanks. I know we were discussing that privately, and I appreciate that connection, and that's exciting. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right then. Are there additional questions or thoughts on this before I hand over to Oren? None. Okay. There you go.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, hello everyone. I'm going to give a update on the passive testing efforts that we've done with F3 over the course of, I think it's been like 2 weeks now. So at a high level, we've gone from like passive testing of 10% of the network up to 100% passive testing of the network. We've been tweaking a lot of knobs along the way to see if we could get bandwidth down and the bootstrap phase down for F3. So to give a TLDR, to get F3 running, we need to run through a bootstrap phase where we catch up to the latest head and finalize all those tip sets. And that is a phase that is a bit more like messages going around. So there's a lot of things happening in the network, and we want to reduce the bandwidth for that period and also have that period complete like fast enough. So we've been tweaking a lot of knobs, and we had gathered some good data and metrics for F3 in a steady state. So the steady state is after the bootstrap phase is completed. We did this with running passive testing of 80% of the network. And we were able to complete the bootstrap phase in approximately 1.5 hours with a average bandwidth during that phase of 4 MIB up or down and 6 MIB up. After that bootstrap phase completed, we saw average bandwidth lay around like 1.2, 1.5 for down and up. And in that steady state, we also saw a distance from the current head of with those params around 13 to 40 epochs. So those are knobs that we're still trying to like tweak to get bandwidth down, bootstrap phase down, and also distance from head down, basically, so that we finalize even faster. So the next steps we're doing is to continue to adjust these params in the daily tests. So we get a smooth progress and doing this in a 100% testing of the network. So we are writing some detailed notes in a F3 passive testing discussion, which is in the Lotus repo. So if you go there to the discussions tab, it should be at the very top there. We also published some public Grafana dashboards from our nodes, so you can see different metrics on bandwidth, the certificates, and so on. So there's a lot of data in there. But yeah, that is currently where we are today with the passive testing. Masi, I'm not sure if you want to add some additional notes to that efforts. Masi has done most of these testing and gathered that data.
You giving me too much credit, Orin. I think that was perfect. Nothing to add from me.
Good. Then open for question if there are some questions around the passive testing efforts and where we are at currently. Okay. So with the progress that we made in passive testing, it was brought up in the, I think it was last core devs call, like if we've seen this progress of the passive testing, we should probably do a off-cycle network upgrade to get F3 activated, because it was originally planned to happen in NV24, but during some hiccups in calibration network, we found it prudent to delay it for the next network upgrade. The NV25 is called TEEP, thanks to Hubert, who has been fighting Muay Thai in Thailand after DevCon, which means a foot thrust technique, which is a swift and precise move with a feet kick, basically, to get F3 activated on mainnet. So that's what we're trying to do here. We have published release candidates for the calibration upgrade epoch, which is happening on December 16th. And then we plan to publish final releases with a mainnet upgrade set on December 18th. And the plan there is to have the mainnet upgrade happening in mid-January. But that depends on some conditions that we're able to complete the passive testing and get that up to 100% with no manual power assignments across the power, and get that to run smoothly for a couple of days at minimum. So why this timeline? We're fighting around a bit of we have Christmas holidays for a lot of people in December, so it's important that we get like final releases out before people go on holiday. And we're also on the other side of it. We're having, like, at the end of January, we're having Chinese New Year's, which is for a couple of weeks. So that's why this timeline was decided on for the TEEP NV25 network upgrade. So any question with regards to that timeline?
Thanks, Soren. So we would decide, the exit timing for the mainnet when we are comfortable with the testing. We're sure that there are no concerns, right? And
Correct.
And we're hoping for the testing to run for the next 2 to 3 days. I just want to be sure that I understand your last bullet point.
No, so the testing will go on for up until like December 18th, and probably later than that as well, just for sanity testing. But we want to publish a passive testing round to the mainnet where we are running this passive testing, and have that run continuously for 2 to 3 days, so we can gather like data that we can publish for the final release, basically.
Okay. Any other F3 question or anything else anyone wants to add? Okay then. All right. Thanks everyone. And we'll keep you all updated with all documentation and updates as always. And have a great rest of your day. Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.